watching plays and scores retold. In this podcast the game unfolds. Every try and tackle shared. Legends of the field, none compared. Echoes of cheers, the crowd gets loud. In this audio space, we feel so proud. Pass the word, let the speakers blast. Rugby tales from the present and past. Through the airwaves, our spirits cast. In this rugby love, forever vast.
Hello, yellow. Welcome back, Moya.
Hi guys, thank you. How's it going?
Moya.
Hallo?
Ja, ik denk vanavond van ons... Yes, everybody's okay, Moya. How was your graduation party, after party and everything?
Yeah, no, it was good. Yeah, very busy time, but all went well.
That's good, that's good. Guys, I think we're not going to make the full hour tonight. The weather is picking up again. Yeah, I told Eugene the weather is hectic here at times.
Okay, no problem.
Het is reg, Niels. Het is reg.
Okay, julle, kom ons begin sommer met die ene Benetton game. Ja. Let's not talk about what went wrong, because then we're going to have to make this podcast for 3 hours long. What went right? What do you feel went right?
Nothing. There's a one-word answer. Nothing.
Oh, we made it in and out of the tunnel. Okay, you know that was something at least.
That's about it. That's about it, Moya.
Yeah. You know,
It was shocking. It was shocking display from Alliance. Really, it was a shocking display for me. Even like I told Eugene, the scrums. That was the one that got me the most. They took a backline player to assist in their scrums, and they still scrummed us off our feet. And the line out, the line out. Like I said, I can't remember when last I saw a game where the hooker took too long to throw in the ball.
Exactly. And you know what? It's not like I think there was a game the weekend before, like one of the I think it was the Champions Cup game, where it was so loud that the hooker couldn't hear the call for the line out. I mean, it's not like it was that loud at Ellis Park. So I honestly was just like,
there wasn't that many. There wasn't that many people to make so much noise in any case.
Exactly.
It was shocking, and as soon as Frankie went off, I said, "Now this is gonna be a shocker," because Frankie, it seems like he's the person holding the team together.
Yeah.
A lot of politics in the team. The first half, I don't know what's going on there, but players arguing on the field, and you're in the same team. That
really troubled me. Like, if I'm honest, like once I saw that, I was like, yeah, look, I don't see us coming back because. There's no way you can function as a unit if you can't display any unity. And, the opposition's also going to capitalize on that because they can, it's clear for everyone to see, like, oh, okay, there's issues going on. Okay, yeah. Just make sure then, like, hey, if this guy has the ball, try rattle him, the other guy's not going to be happy. Or like, always try make it to where if we can get in between these two, just keep building the tension that's already there.
No, you're 100% right, Moya. The arguing on the field between players, that's not the way to play rugby. And for a team that basically played, the core of the team played together the whole season so far.
Yes.
And that to me, unfortunately, points at a deeper rooted problem, and that being at management and upwards. That's how I see it, and I think it's the case of the players basically deciding let's play the game. We're getting paid for it. Let's play the game, and if we win, we win. If we lose, we lose. There's why are we playing to for honors? If management doesn't really have any respect for us or do not honor us for our efforts. That's my point of view on it.
It seems to me like Darian Landsberg is in the middle of everything. Because that pass to Run Painter, yes, I can imagine that was not a good pass. It wasn't actually a pass at all. It's more like a throw the ball. But for Run Painter to get angry just because of that one pass, there must be more to the story. And with that,
that's what I'm thinking.
Yes, that high ball as well. Why there were three players besides Darian Landsberg that took that high ball that led up to a try, but they nominated or Darian Landsberg took it upon himself. With two of the three players was actually backline players, supposedly to be good under the high ball, but it's like they left him to do the job, setting him up for failure. I can't prove that, but it seemed like that. It seemed like that. And the only two people in a team that look like they not enjoying it, but they will try and bring some magic to the team was Volata when Nico Steyn came on. The little talk they had. That's the only talk you saw with the team. That's the only time you saw one of the Lions players smiled. Nobody smiled. Not even Asanati had a smile.
Yeah.
Anytime during the game.
Yeah, well, the whole thing is, I mean, they showed Cash a couple of times, talking on the radio. But surely, with your water carriers on next to the field, etc. Surely, messages must be going backwards and forwards to and from Cash to the team.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like there was no cohesion. There was absolutely none. I mean, everybody was playing for themselves. It was a total bloody mess, to say the least. I think, as I said on Saturday, it's one of the worst games I've seen the Lions play in a long time.
Yeah. No, same here. Because I was going to say one thing, though, was I was at least relieved that Landsberg's response to being yelled at and everything was literally to put a hand out and be like, hey, we are on the same team here, and because you've seen in other teams that can really just escalate where now suddenly everyone's, like there's almost like an internal brawl happening. But yeah, I'll say like that disappointed me, and another one as well that just really, there were one or two decisions that we made that were just, I had no idea what anyone was doing. But as you said, with people being in it for themselves, part of the problem I saw was there were times where we showed glimpses, but then it's like, but there's no support. It's like Morné van den Berg snipes, but then gets turned over because there's no one with him. Or like this person breaks the line, great, but then they're turned over because there's no one with them.
Talking about Krappies, he didn't have one of his best games. Let's be honest.
No. But he was trying. He was trying. But I agree. Not his best day. Really, not his best day.
No. I mean, knocking and dropping the ball and that type of thing. It was bad news. It was really, really bad. I just kept on shaking my head and thinking, "Oh my goodness gracious me!"
Yeah, and unfortunately, the person who didn't, and what was just so frustrating for me, especially because you've heard when I've defended him, was Marius Lowe. I want to say 3 of Benetton's tries were also like Marius Lowe makes a mistake, and then that intercept pass, that was a direct pass to the guy. Because I'm like, how are you passing forward to it's not like the attacker was in and amongst our guys. The attacker was meters away, managed to catch the ball like right into the hands and go.
I mean, it's overhead passes. I mean, what did Joel Stransky say? Volleyball pass. You don't do that in any game. Unless you know that the guys, defenders, is far enough away not to intercept.
Exactly.
And his judgment dropped him in bad on Saturday.
Yeah. There was a lot of shocking passes, a lot of them.
Yep.
Behind the back passes, a lot. And why we did that, I don't know. And even that one where Ron Venter, he held the pass, and then as soon as he thought he was in front of the defender, he passed the ball, and it was also a forward pass. It's like the timing of everything was rushed. It looked like we wanted to rush everything.
And I think part of the problem is that desperation. And that's where, again, like when Frank Horn went off, I got really worried as well, because, when you're behind, especially where you're behind from soft tries, you're going to keep trying, but you keep trying in a way that's counterproductive, because, now you're like, hey, we need tries, let's go. And now suddenly everything's rushed and everything's panicked.
A couple of times, I mean, we were in a 22 and nothing came of it. I mean, they counter-rucked, got the ball, and they chased us back. Virtually into our 22. That was shocking, to say the least. You'd expect, a side like the Lions, which we know that they have done it in the past. As soon as they get into the 22, I was saying 75% of the times they're going to score.
And oddly enough, the more direct route actually got us there, and I don't know why we didn't then just play more direct rugby.
Well, that's what I thought as well. But as I said, basically the less said about the game on Saturday, the better, because it was just shocking, to say the least.
Yeah.
Was it not 2 lineouts that we missed 5 meters from Benetton's try line?
Yep.
The one was where they slapped the ball to their side, and we caught on that. And the other one, we totally lost possession.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is just plain unacceptable, really, because, again, it's like these are things that are supposed to be our weapons. Like, we are usually good from set piece, like that. And also, the fact that eventually, like, we got, either a more try or that, I'm like, shows we were in that. And I'll say, like, look, credit to Benetton for getting the win, but at the same time, it's more a thing of we lost rather than they won. And I hate. And what always deeply offends me about losses like that is that we make teams look good. Like, we make teams look a lot better than they should actually look.
Yeah, well, one player they gave hopelessly too much room to run is that Umaga. I mean,
yes.
He ran us silly.
Yeah. He's taller than I remember, but yeah.
I mean, we look like a bunch of school kids chasing a chicken, or at some school carnivals they have this thing, catch a pig.
Oh yes.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, we were running around like a chicken without a head. Really, we were. And I mean, Umaga, number one is fast. He's fleet of foot. He's got a rugby brain on him, it seems, and he made us look silly. He made us look silly.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, out of the hand kicking, Benetton got the better of luck. Because really, all their kicks were, some of them were really lucky. A few of them were, you can say, okay, that was tactic, that was on point kicking. A lot of them, the bounce of the ball was just in their favor the whole time.
Yeah. And look, sometimes it's like that. Sometimes, things come off the way you need them to. And hey, where you can capitalize on that, fantastic. I think that, and that's where they'll take a lot of heart from that. But now let's see what they do against the Stormers, and let's see what we can do against Connacht, because, I honestly think, like, watching that game, I was like, this is a team we can beat. Like, definitely we can beat these guys, but we have to actually show up and play rugby in order to beat these guys.
Yeah, well, earlier this season, didn't we beat Connacht?
I'm not sure, because I don't think we played them in Challenge Cup, because we wouldn't have played them in URC. So unless we played them in Challenge Cup.
I think it was in Challenge Cup. I just hope and pray. These guys, it also seemed like on Saturday, the guys thought, we're going to run over Benetton. It's a home game, home advantage. We're playing it all, heat of the midday, etc., etc., etc. And surprise, surprise, Benetton turned up to play rugby, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I would love to see what they do against the Stormers this weekend. But the guys must not think that Connacht is just another team that's gonna roll over and play dead. They came here to play rugby.
Absolutely.
And they're vying for a top 8 spot. I mean, Benetton was on 8, I think. And I think they're still on 8. I'm not too sure. But Connacht is vying for 8 for position in top 8. So they're not going to roll over and play dead. They're going to come and play rugby.
Exactly.
And the guys must just realize that. One positive point, and I mean, yet again, there was 20 minutes in the second half when they brought on Renzo. Renzo tried everything in his power, okay, to be at the breakdowns, carry the ball, tackle, etc., etc., etc. But it seems like there was just no support. There was absolutely no support for him, to assist in, getting the turnover. But again, as I say, I'm just glad to see that he got some game time. Although it's only 20 minutes, I would love to see him play either a full half or a whole game, one of the two.
Yeah.
Just to see, because he hasn't played much this season at all.
No.
Is he rusty? How's his skills, etc., etc. I mean, surely there must have been something that Rusty saw in putting him to the lineman camp. But, I mean, I saw some people saying, isn't it because Rusty, pulled so many of our players to the lineman camp and that's why our players disrupted? No, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. For the simple fact that there was more Bulls and more Stormers at those alignment camps than there was Lions.
Yeah.
The Sharks, Bulls, and the Stormers are not disrupted by the players having gone to the alignment camp. Now, how can it only be the players of the Lions that went to the alignment camp whose play got disrupted? It just does not make sense.
Yeah.
I think it's the opposite. With the Bulls and the Stormers and the Sharks have more Springboks than us. So at the lineman camp, the value they get there coming back into the squads is much more than we get because we have how many Springboks, how many caps of them. So yeah, I think the thing is that we're losing out because we don't produce Springboks and we can't go and play victim now and say, yeah, but it's because of the Springbok camps and this and that and that. We must pull our socks and start playing as a team because we're not doing that at the moment. We are not doing it.
No, we're not.
But
And like it's going now, I think Connacht, I can't see we beating even Connacht with the performance we gave. If we're going to do another 80 minutes of that, luckily it was a 40 minutes. Again, first half was shocking. Second half, the same with Glasgow game. First half shocking. Second half, we need to get 80 minutes. We can't play 40-minute games. We need 80 minutes and we need 15 players as one team. Not 15 individuals on a field because then we're going to get smacked. And now with Frankie probably missing out the whole season, the rest of the season. Because they were taking him for scans. And you know the Lions Union, we will find out in 2 months' time what was the result of that. So, yeah, he was sacked in a line-out. And he found himself underneath. Now, does that mean we're going to see Goma at 8th man for the rest of the season? Who's going to be the number 8 for us?
I'm thinking they'll probably pull in either Esterhuizen or Steenkamp. Because we've had, although I'm thinking it was probably more Curry Cup, but I'm pretty sure we've seen Steenkamp at 8, but also, he played 8 sometimes for the Bulls, so I'm thinking probably either him or Esterhuizen will be the starting 8.
They just must not bring in Stroily, because when Frankie at one stage was injured during the season, I remember they took Stroily over for the one game, and that was a nightmare. Well, he didn't have a nightmare game. He actually had a good game for change. But you know what I'm saying.
Well, that's the thing. So I suppose the question always is who's the next cab off the rank. And I think in some ways we know in certain positions, like, okay, you know what, like, for example, 6, we know JC Pretorius is our guy. Number 2, though, is a bit weird because it's like, well, it's currently Kearns, but Renzo could overtake Kearns, and that could be now the pattern we see for the remaining games where, we have JC and then we have Renzo.
I hope so.
Yeah. But I was thinking about it, and I felt a bit bad when this thought hit me. But I'll still verbalize it. I had this feeling where I'm like, you know what? I know the guys can still contribute, and one bad game does not mean we should just get rid of them. But a part of me is like, guys, we have 3 games left of the season. We probably shouldn't pick Edwall and Marius for those remaining 3. Like, I'm thinking particularly of Edwall, where last couple of games I've not seen the Edwall van der Merwe we know. He looks like, and again, it is also probably a symptom of the team underperforming, but he's not looking like he's looking for work as much. He's not looking as enterprising. And you almost get that feeling of like, here's a person kind of being like, look, I'll do enough, but I'm not going to play out of my boots because I don't want to pick up an injury or, that type of thing, which is dangerous because, I mean, is Rassie going to pick him off his current performance? I think not. However, Rassie might be like, yeah, look, I know what I can get out of this guy and I'll pick him on that rather than on form. And the same with Marius Lowe. It's like, look, he tries and he's been trying, and we know as well, here's the one thing I think about, right? Because I was like, if Bronson Mills is healthy, well, how about we give Bronson Mills a run at 12, or we can have, Renat Jonker and Kelly Mpeku start as our centers, and then you bring Bronson Mills on later, that type of thing. Like, we have these options, but none of our options have the sort of bashing run power that Marius Lowe has. And that's something that our backline lacks when we don't have him is, those power runs.
Ja, wel.
Excuse gou oom Eugene. Excuse gou.
Ja.
Elias, is jy op mute? Want ek sien jou liggie, maar ek hoor jou nie.
Ja, ek is hierso. Ek wag maar net gou vir 'n spreek beter as julle klaar gepraat het. Ekskuus. Ek spring 'n bietjie later in hierso. Sorry guys.
Nee,
just my 2 cents on the whole game. I heard what you guys were saying now about the players, and I also think our top guys didn't perform at all. But that was they coached right for this game. I don't know what happened, because I think they just said, listen, everybody can just play for himself. I don't know what they said before the time, but there was no game plan, nothing at this. So in the beginning of this season, we were playing expanding rugby. We could throw the ball wide, and it was just attacking rugby. But I think as the season progresses, the teams get better, all the teams get better, and we're just getting worse. So the guys are playing more as a unit, the other teams, and then we just obviously falling out of the bus there. And I think a guy like Marius Lowe, and I agree with what Moya also said, don't choose for the Maverick now. Like, he wasn't up to standard. He was like no energy in him. He didn't, it's just, I just want this season, I just want to finish off with the Lions now. The same with Marius Lowe. I mean, on the attack, we don't have a penalty, and he kicks the ball through over the dead ball line, and we could have scored a try. It was a stupid, bloody mistake there. Krapis was also playing for himself. At least he does try. But this was one of his worst games that he ever played. The only guy that I can really say that always puts in the same game effort every single game is Osanati. He's the only guy that is consistent out of the whole Lions team. I mean, Ruan Venter. I mean, knocking the ball on every time he goes on the attack and they tackle him, we lose the ball in on the attack as soon as they tackle us. And the saddest day for me, well, one of the saddest days for me, it was that red card of Kwagga Smith that year in the Super Rugby final, and now with the Lions, with them fighting amongst each other. That was like the worst thing I've ever seen. I see that in primary school rugby. You don't see that in the professional era. I mean, where is Cash? What is he doing there? Where's Jock Free? And I like Jock Free. But why? There's no... I don't know. And I see now Krappy said, no, they're all there for the coach and all that things. But it's a lot of bull, man. It's a lot of bull. Somewhere along the line, somebody's not doing their job. And I don't know if Cash heard something about he's not going to be the next, his contract is not going to be extended. I don't know, but something is really seriously wrong there.
Yeah, well, the other thing is, okay, I don't know how far Rubs is from being ready to play. And I mean, we also have Mani Ras as well, where they can play. Mani Ras and the
Russ is injured though, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. But he's not got Jonker. And as you quite rightly said, Moya, Bronson Mills can also, if he's ready to play, yes, he can also slot in there. And at least it gives us another dimension in our backline. And, maybe we just need that play of those players to, to spark the, to throw the spark in a ton of petrol, to ignite the true spirit of Lions and go for it, hammer and tongs. I don't know.
Guys, and one thing I said as well. Did you see how many, and it's not this Benetton game, at least, yeah, the Benetton game, there was almost every second pass. But the last 5 games, this is a thing we're doing with dummy runners coming up. The defense lines are reading that like they're not even falling for it. How many times did Benetton's inside center? He didn't fall for that, and then the ball went slower, and then we had to rush, and then we were totally lateral on the field, from left to right, with even playing back 30 meters at a time. How the hell do you go on attack and you play yourself 30 meters back? That's shocking. That is really shocking. Get a game plan, stick to it, and don't be like we want to be the shine boys. We have the handling skills. We have this. Don't do that. Nothing fancy. Do the basics, because it seems like we can't do the basics right. So get the basics right, and then you can do the fancy stuff, the fancy passes, the fancy incoming runners, and this and that, and the skip passes and stuff like that. How do you guys feel? We're seeing more of this now, especially at the Lions. We're seeing this. Benetton, it felt to me like it was 1-2 passes, and then you see a dummy runner coming up. No, it doesn't fool the defense, and we get stuck. Right there, we get stuck. And then we try it again. 2 phases from that, we tried again and again and again, and nobody wanted to make the line straight and just go and run into it. You cannot play left to right, left to right, left to right, left to right, without gaining even a meter. You're playing backwards. Then you must know, listen, this is not the right strategy. Somebody needs to take the ball up to the defense line and get some meters.
Yeah, well, my point was their game plan to start with.
Nie so gelyk hier, oom.
Presies. Nee, dat kom ek sê. Ek weet nie wie die game plan uitgewerk. Miskien het Cash gedink Jacques gaan dit uitwerk, en Jacques het gedink Cash gaan dit uitwerk, en toe val die pap op die grond.
Did you see how bad our defensive lines were?
That had me sweating.
Yo, it was like a zigzag the way that they stood. It was like really, it was so unorganized. And what is Jacques? I know he's the attacking coach, but is he the backline coach? We don't have a defensive coach, or is he the attacking and defensive coach?
Well, he's supposed to be the defense coach.
Yeah,
and then Ricardo Lopes is supposed to be attack.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's actually Jacques then, eh?
But that's the thing. Sorry, Eugene. That's the thing I said a couple of podcasts ago. I think Jacques is more in the capacity of head coach now. That's why we're seeing him in the box lately, and he's not focusing that much on the defense anymore. He's more like assisting whoever, but definitely not on defense and not on attack. I don't know where, but it's neither of those two.
Well, did any one of you guys see Ricardo in the box this weekend?
I don't think I did. No.
I didn't know he wasn't there. He wasn't there. I didn't see him, and I showed my coaching box quite regularly. And
yeah.
I didn't see him once, not once. It was Cash, Jacques, and what's his name? There was only 3 guys in the coaching box. And normally Jacques, Cash, and Ricardo.
Yeah. And you know what bothers me also about all these rumors and what you read and what you hear and stuff, and what I now love Jacques, and I always say that Jacques doesn't really need the coaching job, because he's a flippin' bloody rich guy. He's richer than our Rudolph Straley. Now he gets much more than what they're earning through his private businesses that he has. But what also bothered me is what Amba was saying, about Jacques, and like you said, what did I really do wrong? And we were always asking that before the time, what did he do wrong? And now we always, week in, week out, we're talking about Renzo, and Renzo also didn't have a great game, let's be honest. But he hasn't had bloody game time for a long time. When is Renzo also not going to say, listen, what did I do wrong for not being, for being dropped every game? And so, and especially in Nwamba, we could have easily, that guy was so good for us, and I mean, and he's 100% right. I didn't see one bad game of Nwamba.
Yeah, no. Look, I said on Saturday, one player that did try, okay? Although, it was an insurmountable mountain to climb for him, was Renzo when he came on. There was just no support for him. I mean, he went in for tackles and everything, okay? But there was just no support. I mean, he tried to steal the ball, just no support. When he carries the ball, there's just no support. So, to say, look, he didn't have the best game he ever had. Let's be honest about that. But at least he tried. He tried to be the spark to ignite the fight back. And unfortunately, it didn't work. That's my opinion about it.
But now, one thing that makes me wonder as well was that, and I get rotation is a thing.
Yeah.
And if I'm honest, the 6-2 split technically saved us because with Franco Horn getting injured, we needed as many forwards as we could get. But, I was scratching my head where, I looked at the team sheet. I'm like, it looks like a solid team sheet, but Lombard is not listed as injured. Have we said, listen, we're rotating? If we're rotating, okay, but then a part of me is like, should we not have a backup 10 on the bench? Yes, we can put Nico Stain there, but Nico Stain is not a 10. Part of me is like, we should probably have a specialist 10 there. And I'm like, cool, you can have, I was looking at the some of the running, and I was like, we could have used Lombard here and there. But also, is Dobela healthy? Because it would be nice to see him at some point. Considering we paid good money for him.
Curry Cup. We're going to see him Curry Cup. We buy players and then we use them for Curry Cup. But Volater, I was shocked to see Volater's name. Because, I mean, not personally about the guy and how he plays, but for how long was he out for? Yeah. And now he comes in at the crucial point that this is a must-win game. And he had a shocker. Second half, he got his things. I don't know what they said to him first half, but he was trying too hard the first half, and second half things came about better. So
and you see, I feel like putting faith in a player is good, but he's coming back after how long of a layoff? Would it have hurt to have him?
Yeah, well, the other side of the coin is, for how long is Rapp still going to be out?
Yeah, not sure actually.
Mafura was actually good for me. I enjoyed watching that guy play. He hasn't played a bad game for me in the couple of games that he started or came from the bench for the Lions this season. I like that guy. He will be my perfect wing. Set would be Raps and him now at this moment if Raps were able to play. Because Richard Crew, we spoke about it. Richard Crew is not on form. But I don't want to sound negative, but I think the ship has sailed for us dreaming about a top 8 spot. I think that ship has sailed. I think it was in the harbor already from the Cardiff game, and now I think we're waving at the beach for it now. Because I read something that if we manage to get bonus points from the last three games, we will stand on, I think, 48. And last season we were at 50 points and we missed out.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be too late.
We'll be on 45, Niels.
45, okay.
Yeah, because after the weekend's game, we stuck on 30. And if we get 5 points out of the next 3 games each, that 15 gives you 40, gives you a maximum of 45. There again, we're leaving our fate in the hands of other teams, hoping they would lose. I mean, our points difference was +8.
Still that Glasgow game.
Yeah, now we're on -40. So we can't actually rely on teams above us, because some of the teams above us has got positive points difference.
And have scored more tries, because I think that's also one of the considerations for URC is the number of tries scored.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you look at the number 8 and number 9 on a log, they're both standing at 36. I just cannot remember who they are, but they're both standing on 36. Okay, the team that's an 8 has got a better points difference than the team below them has also got 36.
Yeah.
So we might land up with the same situation as we did last year.
And you know what? I'm actually kind of at peace with not making the top 8, because as we've previously discussed, our consistency is something we need to work on. And my thing is, if there's going to be new coaches and they're this going into next season, rather start with Challenge Cup. Imagine
I agree.
Imagine we played the way we played this past Saturday in a Champions Cup game. What would happen?
No, we'll get killed. We'll get killed.
Yeah. Exactly.
So yeah, I don't know. There's something drastically wrong in Lions setup. I think you also saw what I said there. and I'm being dead serious. I'm being dead serious when I say that. And Moya, you'll be my media liaison, okay?
I mean, yeah, I can work with that.
So yeah, but I don't know. I really and truly do not know. I'm at a loss for words as far as the setup at the Lions are concerned. I think we all heard what Jan de Koning said last weekend, that Strolle is looking for yes boys. And if that's the case, then Lions rugby is not going to get any better with him being there. Really, it's not going to get any better.
And at least I want some honesty from Ivan. Take some accountability and say, listen, we effed up this season. Sorry. Yep. Don't come with this thing we can still make top 8. Yes, we can, by a miracle. It's totally out of our hands now. Even if we get that bonus point 3 games in a row, the last 3 games, it's still out of our hands. It's still in 2 or 3 other teams' hands. So stop the bullshit and just say, listen, we dropped the ball, and now we have to just finish. So, don't come with this top 8 shit.
I mean, we kicked off the season like a house on fire.
Yeah. Okay. And then the house burnt down.
Yeah, well, the fire brigade came and put the fire out. So yeah, I don't know. I really, you'd expect a side to get better as the season progressed, not get worse.
Because look at the Bulls seemingly peaking now. Sure, they they lost a couple of games, a few weeks ago. But now where they're like, oh, actually, you know what? Here, we've beaten teams like them beating Munster away is massive. This is the sort of run-in you want going into the playoffs. And that's something where like we should be peaking. And I'm happy as well that, I think Crappy has said that as well, where it's like, at this stage, like we should be playing that much better. Like we're supposed to be peaking and we're not.
No, sure.
One thing that struck me, I managed to catch literally the final whistle of the Moana Pacifica versus Brumbies game. And they spoke, Brumbies won that 24-0. And they spoke to the captain of Moana Pacifica. And he looked just so dejected. And like, where you can hear, like, even the person's tone and like their volume is low. That's what was going on there. And I thought, like, after we lost that, I'm like, see, we aren't sounding like that. And it troubles me because Jake White once was on about, winning's a habit, so's losing. I want us, to have that level of, just seeming really sad about a loss. When it's something like, oh, okay, well, another tough day at the office. Yeah, we weren't there. And that, like, even though the interviews were actually the same, where like for like both captains actually said similar things, whereas like we just didn't turn up today, or that it seemed to hurt that Moana Pacifica captain a lot more than it hurt us. In saying that, and I need us to get back to a point where, we're gutted when something like this happens.
But, I like this group. It's because we amongst the supporters and flippin' emotional supporters, we can actually vent. You're not going to do it in front of other teams or whatever, but at least we can vent amongst ourselves. But I agree with that because Cash is really, he's like, no, it's bad, but, we can go on. Look at Jake White, and flipping, I don't have any good words to say about Jake White, but check if he loses and he speaks afterwards, he will flipping go off about it. And the same with Dobson. And Jake White, goes red. He's had a flipping heart bypass and I don't know what all, but he takes on his players, and it's just like Cash is just not up there to take on the players, like they too senior. And again, I'll say I don't think Cash is a bad guy. But also, I wanted to say just now that I also think that, why don't we in our pool, because the Lions don't have such a good depth, why don't we look at, the Free State? There was a few players. I heard now that Gideon van der Merwe is almost back from injury to them. That's really a player that we can look on a loan basis. Cohen Jasper is very good at this stage. Jean-Ray Rudolph. Those guys can really flip it, even if it's only the local games, the South African games. We can use those players. I think there's 4 or 5 players that are really outstanding in the Cheetahs that we can use. And even the Griquas players, that's, I think in the other league now, they top of the lock at this stage.
Elias, I fully agree with you. And we just don't want a similar situation as we had with the Cats, because that was a disaster in the making. But in any case, it seems like we're just going through the motions to get the season finished. And win or lose. It seems like the guys are tired. It seems like the guys are demotivated, dejected. I don't think there's anybody in management at the Lions, be it coaching staff, be it management up at the top, that can really motivate these guys to give 110% of themselves for the next 3 games. I don't think there is. And unfortunately, my sentiment about it is, I think we're going to see very much the same pattern the next three games. I really thought, we're going to play a better game against Benetton, which we
Same,
did.
yeah, definitely.
And I think the Benetton game, I mean, with only three games left, has basically set the tone for the next three games. That's what I feel. I might be wrong. They might surprise us on Saturday and beat Connaught by a country mile. And so the next two games after that as well. But at the end of the day, we had a stop-start season. As I said, we kicked off the season like a house on fire, and then it fizzled out. We lost a couple of games, and unfortunately, the pattern is, when you lose a game, okay, and that's the pattern of the Lions now. If they lose a game, it seems like they lose the next two games after that as well.
And also we around contract time as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't see anything. I don't think we're going to move from our 14th spot on the lock. I really truly do not think so. But we can just hope and pray that they do. But at this point in time, I'm very negative about it.
It's 5 games in a row now, isn't it?
Yep.
If you take Challenge Cup in consideration as well, it's 5 games in a row that we lost.
Yeah. As I say, winning becomes a habit. So does losing.
Yeah.
Are we building a losing culture? Yeah. But now, the best thing for us to do now is try and finish strong. I would like us to try and finish strong. Try your best, though. And then, come Curry Cup, we should not shit around.
No, definitely.
Get the players that was not fit after injury, get them in. Start building something, because we spoke about it before the start of the URC. We said, get 2 teams, one will be Challenge Cup, one will be URC, and we epically failed that. Failed that.
No, I mean, yes, we do not have the depth of Stormers, Sharks, and Bulls. But I think we got enough players of quality that, yes, we can split the teams, URC and Challenge Cup. Because the guys that's playing Challenge Cup is, at the end of the day, going to be the core of your Curry Cup.
Yeah.
Because your URC season is so long and it's so intense, where the Challenge Cup is not so intense and it's not that long. So those guys, also the breaks between games is a little bit longer than in URC. So the guys that's playing Challenge Cup, as I said, should basically make out the core of your Curry Cup side. That gives them a lot of experience. They can learn from overseas teams. They can get just better. Okay.
Yeah.
And come the Curry Cup season, they can kick it off at the rate of knots. And because, I mean, your sides like the Bulls, the Sharks, and the Stormers, after the URC, they might rest, their top players, knowing the Curry Cup is just around the corner and they can basically play a second or third string of players. We must capitalize on that and really, really, hammer it down, so to speak. I mean, we did it last season. We went right up into the final. which we lost. We did. The Sharks didn't win it. We lost it through a stupid decision, a stupid mistake. But it just shows, okay, that the young guys, the young gun, has got the mettle, has got the fortitude, has got the guts and the character to play rugby and make a success of it. Where the URC and the Challenge Cup started, let's not go down there.
Yeah, and just hope injuries. Could that be maybe also a thing with injuries this season in the URC that caught up with us?
I think so, but that's also where rotation. And here's where I really agree with Eugene, because say, we have almost like those two squads. You're then able to filter guys in and out of each so that you have that depth of, if this person's injured, cool. Well, we bring this guy in.
Yeah.
Obviously, if we have a crisis, we have a crisis. And that's where trouble can start. If you're down to like your fourth string, hooker or wing, whatever, it's going to be a problem. But I think the more exposure we get for more of our players, the better. Because then it's easier to mitigate all of that and have it where, look at the way Jake White's been chopping and changing. But it's a lot of the time it's minor things. It's like, I'll change 3 people every game.
Yeah.
You do that for a bit, and you then know what your best combinations are, but also what happens. Like, if we've lost this guy through injury, cool. I now know, I can rely on you to fulfill the same role, or I need to change, this combination because you don't quite fulfill the same role this guy does. Here's what you do. Okay, let's this other person who then will help you be the best you can be.
But that's the thing, Moya. Team selection. How many times have we spoken about team selection? If you can't get it right with 23 players, how do we expect them to get it right with 46 players to build 2 teams? Most of the games we lost was because of a weakened bench. The team we played against had a stronger bench. And that's the problem. We need better selections. We need somebody to pick the best side possible for whichever game is coming up. And there, I think we're lacking a lot there.
I mean, much as it's usually horses for courses, I think where we struggle in some ways as well is that, we also have really young players coming through, right? So, we look at, there were 1 or 2 games where Kotze and Skuman came on as the replacement props and were magic. There were some games where they came on, and this past game is included in that. You could see they upped the energy, but then they were being scrummed backwards, and you're like, okay, what to do? Yes, we tried to have Yaku Fasaki there to, provide a bit of experience with them and that, but this time it didn't pan out. And the problem is, we're going to have to get the experience to these guys somehow.
Yeah, but now, what's happened to our other prop, the guy from the Pumas?
Morgan Odia, injured again. So he was injured, came back, and got injured, I think, his first or second game back.
Yeah, but I didn't see his name on the injury list. That was put out, with a team sheet.
Yes.
I didn't see his name there, and I saw myself, now where the hell is he?
Yeah. No, exactly, because I mean he's definitely either starting or benching if he's healthy. You know what I mean? And that's been and to my mind that has to be the pattern for most of the season. Let's make sure we give Kotze some work, and I'll say the same with Polman. We haven't seen much of Heiko Polman this season, but we can filter them in and get them that experience, yes. But also, it's like if we have our top guys healthy, let's use them. That also needs to be a thing that we do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it is also that way. We shouldn't, like for example, if Morgan Nadir is injured, it shouldn't be a crisis. Like we should be like, oh no, it's fine. We still have Kotze, we still have this guy. We'll be fine. Like for example, the Stormers now are sweating because like, oh, their top 2 tight heads are injured. Or is it 2 or 3? I think it's top 2 injured. So it's like, okay, well now we're down to number 3, and they're thinking like, oh, going into the playoffs, what's going to happen? That's kind of where we need to be as well, not where it's like, okay, if we lose one person, like, oh, well, there goes the season, I guess, or like, we're going to battle now.
Yeah, there's, the players that's not available for selection and the injury list does not include all the players that has played some games the season. It just makes me wonder, why is these players' names not mentioned?
Yes.
I mean, like Enku. How long is he still going to be out?
Yeah, I think it's still a few weeks, but and I think here's where what I'd like, tall order, I know, but like it would be great to have clarity where they can say like, look, if a player has a minor niggle, we're not going to mention it. Like when we put people on the injury list, it's people who are out, let's say, for a minimum of 4 weeks. You might have someone who's got like a 2-week return to play or something, and so it's like, okay, we won't include this person on the injury list, but they have a niggle, and that's why they're not playing. That I can live with, but it's just it would be nice to know the criteria, because if it's a thing of like, oh, well, actually, a person can be out for 2 weeks, and we'll put them on this list.
But I mean, it's like Renzo. Okay, Renzo's name hasn't been mentioned on that injury list or players that's not available list for how long? So nobody knew what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, Karika player of the season last year, and he's nowhere. Then you start asking questions. What's going on, and as Kuba said, he's spoken to Renzo's father. Now, a lot of people say that Renzo was injured. Okay, and Kuba said no, he's not. He's raring to go. He's raring to play. But then there's people that said, yeah, I saw him at the award ceremony, Osaru, where he got the award for Karika Player of the Season. He was walking with a limp. There's just too much grey area. There is absolutely no communication, and Moya, that's why I said, if I could take over CEO from Stroily, you'll be my media liaison. And we'll show them how to liaise with the fans.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And guys, we made it to an hour. We made it to the hour. The weather kept us running. Quick one. Connacht predictions. I'm going with, I have to say Lions. I can't get it over myself to say Connacht. So I'll go with Lions by 1. 1.
I'm saying Lions by 5. Lions by 5.
Okay, Lions by 3.
Lions by 10. I'm going to be very positive this time. I don't want to be negative. I also thought that, in the last 4 games, I thought, these two, the Benetton and Connacht, will be our most difficult. And I also think this one is going to be difficult. I don't think as difficult as Benetton. The other two ones, I think is really going to be much easier, and I think we'll definitely win those ones. But I also have a feeling that we're going to win this one. I still don't rate Connacht. They're not bad, but they're very average at this stage, So I really think that if we can click and we've set our things and we can play as a unit and play as a team and not individually, I think we can really beat them. So, 10.
Yeah.
Well, as I said earlier, I don't know whether you were on yet when I said, Connacht is playing for a top 8 position.
Yeah.
So they're not going to come to the park and roll over and play dead. They're going to play, and then they're going to play to maintain their position on the log and even better it. So that makes it easier for them, that they don't have to rely on other teams to try and get into the top 8. So that's why I say Lions by 3 and not by 5 like I normally do.
Yeah.
Ja, ek bly maar by my 1. Want ek dink I feel like the arguing on the field, there's much bigger story to that, and I think January is going to give us more perspective of what's really going on at the Lions. I think more and more players will be starting to speak out after the whole bombshell burst of Nuamba, and the Lions give their commentary on that as well. I feel like we're not in a good place. I can't see us turning around from that in 1 game or 2 games even. I don't want to be negative, but I'm just realistic that there's big problems there, and to solve that problem, it's not going to come over 5-6 days.
Yeah.
No, 100%, Niels, and the whole thing is, I think at this particular point in time, the players which have signed contracts, extensions to the contracts, won't be the ones that's talking. Guys like Edward and Marius, they will talk after the game. And to basically, try and shed light on what is the actual situation at the Lions. That's just my personal feeling. As I said, the other guys will all be basically scared to speak out because they might just not get picked. I don't know. That's just my
like we thought Jordan was going to Jaden because he's his brother and that, and then Jan gave us the news last week and said no, it's because of money. Australia didn't want to put out money on Jordan. Yes, he said that. There was negotiations. The Sharks said no, Jordan, you much more worth than this, and Australia said we're not gonna empty our pockets for you. You can go if you want to go. So we don't want to keep our players, and if you don't want to fight for your players, then it's going to be exit of players the whole time. And I think it's not going to be Marius Lowe and Ed Wool. They're not going to only 2 names. There will be more. Right after this season, we will get the other names as well. I think there's going to be a couple of players leaving.
Yeah, well, there might be other players leaving, but what I'm saying is, before we, hear about those guys, the 2 guys that might speak out, and Marius is one of them. He's not the one to actually keep his mouth shut too much. We'll be speaking about the whole situation.
No. Like the hot dog eating story, and the washing the laundry and stuff. Yeah, but we'll be the last to know.
Yep, obviously.
Yeah, we'll be the last to know. That will be in the guys like Jan de Koning. They will already know that, and we will find it out 5-6 weeks later. Disappointing, but yeah, that's the truth, guys. Let's wrap this up. I'm just glad the weather held up. Yeah, I was scared of the weather. It was around, but just past 5. It started thunderstorm, and then I said to him, Eugene, I think maybe we're gonna miss the podcast because the weather is hectic here on my side. It was like 15 minutes later, nothing anymore. I said, no, okay, we're still on. And then just before 7, the weather started again, but it's also relaxed now. So yeah. Okay, guys, enjoy your night. Stay safe.
You too. Thank you guys, man. It's nice.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.